MFs. What the fuck is going on? Hustle Like You Broke. Recording August 25. Aiming to air today's episode on September 1. September 1 is a date we have talked about before. It is the date of the Red Alert Restart launch, where hopefully this evening, as our listeners are listening in, we'll be able to look out their windows on cities across America and we'll see buildings lit up in red as a show of solidarity to those of us in the live events industry that are struggling through this coronation, this never-ending Groundhog Day. Which is not to say there isn't anything happening in the world, because one thing that I hope is under much better control by the time we air are the California wildfires that seem to be engulfing Northern California. Wishing the best to all our friends out there, hoping they are breathing clean air. Last I understood, the fires are only about 25% contained. But Dear Leader did indicate he might finally issue a disaster declaration. Hopefully that has happened. Hopefully things are much better. I presume all of you Californians will be kissing his ring and showing a public display of thanks and praise in honor of his awe-inspiring prowess. And by the time we air again, we will be 2 weeks removed from the DNC, where a lot of high-minded intellectuals spoke up. Sadly, it was kind of in with a whisper, out like an Irish goodbye, as far as I'm concerned. Came and went. Everyone says Biden is up to the task. Proved that he too could most likely pass one of those awe-inspiring tests that Doofus in Charge took a few weeks ago. Seems he is not losing it, thank goodness. But happening right now as we record, 1 week in the rear view to our listeners, is the RNC, which, frankly, not surprised, is much better television. They actually hired television producers to make it entertaining. Speakers are saying God only knows what the fuck. I mean, as far as I understand it, to them, it's opposites week. Lie through your fucking teeth. Say the opposite of reality. Keep those Trumpers drinking the Kool-Aid, believing that fascism is not what's actually happening in this country, believing that it's actually those on the left that are propagating the lies. Because again, it's opposite this week. Now, one group of people that are not treating this week like opposites week, unfortunately, are the boys in blue. For them, it's just fucking business as usual, I guess. Everybody now has heard the story out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Another unarmed black man shot in front of his children for getting back into his car after apparently breaking up a fight. I don't even know where to go with this shit. Talk about Groundhog Day all over again. In good news, unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, Greta Thunberg is back in school. Thank goodness for that. That made headlines today. Again, today, August 25. And I'm really happy for Greta. I mean, it's so important that, you know, she be getting that in-person education because, of course, all children need in-person learning experiences. I mean, oh, wait, my kids are back to remote. But then there are colleges opening, or as I like to say, COVID colleges opening across the land. Talked before about North Carolina, 120 kids infected in the first week. Just came out, Ohio State suspended, first week of on campus, suspended 228 students for violating social distancing and mask wearing policies. Closer to my home in Boston, Northeastern University also announced last week that they were open to suspending or I believe even removing scholarships for anyone caught in violation of policy. I mean, if you didn't want these kids coming together and partying, stop putting the fucking school in front of the students on your list of importance. We know what the fuck kids are going to do when they go to college. I know what I did. Give another shout out actually to Bobby Schneider and his daughter Sophie. I hope she is listening in because I still think she is doing the smartest thing I have heard out of anybody going back to college this fall. She and 5 friends are renting a house in Vermont. They are going to be essentially living in a bubble in an area that is otherwise not seeing widespread infection. And they're going to be having their own form of college experience while online distant learning to their respective institutions. And to me, that's the smartest thing I've heard. I mean, kudos to Sophie, kudos to Bobby. I'm big on that. In a bit of sad news, on the other hand, sorry to report the passing of Anthony, the Prince Spaghetti Kid. Dallas, do you remember these commercials?
No, I do not.
Come on. Really?
What
Anthony!
Why would I know this? No.
Those were some of the most memorable commercials from our childhood. The mother calling out across the streets of Boston,
grow up here.
The North End, every Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Nights. Yada, yada. You don't remember this?
I didn't Negative share. That's all you.
That's all you.
Really? I'm the only one who remembers this?
Yep, some Boston stuff.
Things.
Yeah. You're on the island, remember?
Yeah, that island.
That's some bullshit. And Kyle, I hadn't even brought you the fuck out yet. So you stand the fuck down and you wait your turn, motherfucker.
Yo, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. It's Tuesday.
Lakers.
We're going to get to that. Now slow down. You're getting ahead of me now. See, this is why I'm going to hit the mute button and you just need to wait your motherfucking turn.
You forget I mix it. I add audio later.
I know that I can't stop you anyway, and that's okay. I embrace it. But before I get to your Lakers, I do want to say in equally sad news, there has been a COVID outbreak to hit the nudist colony in France's Naked City. And I mean, who could have seen that coming? Think they're wearing masks there, Kyle?
No, because they're naked. You got to have that ass out. You can't have a mask and ass.
Well, meanwhile, back to the United States. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but KFC has admitted their famous finger-licking good slogan is not quite right for the era of face masks. So they are officially going to be launching a new advertising campaign to change the focus. And to them, I just got to say, I got a better idea. How about you consider helping the fucking cause, and instead of changing your slogan, you say, hey, all you dumb motherfuckers out there, wash your fucking hands before you eat your chicken so you can still lick your fucking fingers, and then maybe wash them again before you go back to work. What do you think about that, Kyle?
Post finger licking good. There it is. Lick them and wash them.
I mean, we've had this conversation many times before about whether or not people are actually washing their hands before and after they go back to work.
And that is a negative. Dirty hand entertainment.
I mean, maybe the problem for KFC is they can't get their employees to wash their hands.
I wouldn't say that. That might be a lawsuit on the horizon. You may want to take that back.
Well, I'm not saying it's the case. I'm just wondering, like, why can't we focus on the problems of the world? Why can't we embrace reality and use their platform? And instead of suggesting people not lick their fingers, suggest they figure out a safe and healthy way to do it.
You can't suggest shit in these days. People can't even wear a damn mask. So this is make any and wearing a mask was a suggestion to stop people from getting that shit. But nobody wants to listen. So, damn all that.
Well, moving on.
Lakers.
In sports, Lakers are now up 3-1 as of today, August 25. Yes, LeBron did put on a show in last night's game. They do appear poised to win their first round matchup. I will say, of course, my Celtics swept the Sixers in style. The Lakers did drop their first one, but that's okay. I'm going to give it to you. They do look like they're going to win, but here's what I want to know, Kyle. This is what I want to know. Is it possible when LeBron doesn't have an audience to cry to, he actually puts his head down and plays basketball?
Well, the NBA in itself is soft right now, so everybody cries. But I will say he has changed his mentality and he's playing like a man. He's playing big boy basketball now. AD is playing big boy basketball, and the Lakers are now their shots are falling. Before they had great open looks and it was missing everything, but last couple games they got their scope together and the balls are in the nets. The balls are dropping, and the defense is still stellar. So gotta embrace it. I know you hate it. You said the Lakers would get rolled out after they got beat game one, which I said, yo, that was game one. And now all of a sudden the whole timber has changed, like I knew it would.
Well, first of all, I don't hate it. I love it. Second of all, I just like busting your balls. And third of all, I don't think you're going to disagree with me on this one, but you can. There is no question in the world that LeBron is one of the most gifted basketball players of all time, both physically and just in terms of his overall skill sets. But mentally, he has always been a question mark. He is his own worst enemy. He can't get out of his own fucking way, which is a question, by the way, we're going to ask today's guest in a little bit.
LeBron is like this. He has the physicality to do all these numbers, everything he's done. I can't take any of that away from him. But he doesn't have, in my opinion, the killer mentality. He might stab you, but he won't put the knife in you and turn it. Whereas Kobe would turn it, and make sure you're dead 50 times over.
Exactly. And Jordan had that will to win that LeBron does not have.
The Jordan is like, yo, fuck all y'all. We gonna win. Let's do it by any means necessary. LeBron, it's a little different. And again, it's a different, era. Like, again, this league is soft. My personal opinion, LeBron and all these cats who are pulling up these killer numbers couldn't have done this back in the days where there was clothesline basketball. They don't have that in their DNA. But for today's delicate NBA, hey, they're doing what they do.
Speaking of soft, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dwight Howard is sitting this postseason out. Is that right? He didn't go into the bubble, right?
You lost your mind. Dwight Howard is hooping.
Is he?
Yes. You must not be watching these games. What are you
to be honest with you, I haven't. I haven't been watching the Lakers games. I've just been reading up, and I just remember how Dwight saying early on that he wasn't in. And I mean, let's be honest, he is one of the softest players in the game. Talk about a beast who would sooner do a finger roll than dunk it on anybody and fucking miss it every time.
That was Dwight Howard 1.0 Laker. 2.0 Laker. Dwight is a monster.
Well, I guess I will tune in as we get deeper into the playoffs. I will be watching.
No. You need to either watch now or don't. Don't talk to me after. Yeah, they're looking good now. No, I need you to be on board from the beginning.
I'm going to be what the fuck I want to be, and you're going to just fucking shut up and like it. How about
There
that?
it was. Mr. Walt, the bitter bastard, has spoken.
I don't tell you how to be. You don't have to tell me. It's all good. It's all love.
There it is.
I appreciate you. I admitted straight up that I haven't been watching the games. I wouldn't watch. I've been watching. I watched the Celtics games. I have not watched the Lakers games yet. I will watch as we get deeper into the playoffs. But right now, it's not my priority.
Hey, there it is.
There it is. But moving on in sports, the Miami Dolphins have come out saying their homeowner, they will host 13,000 fans, about 20% of their stadium capacity. You got any thoughts on that with your hometown team, Dallas?
I mean, if we can make it happen, that's great. They're leading the charge, I guess. But I trust them. It's a well-run facility. I think if anybody can do it, that's definitely a venue that can do it. But otherwise, I really don't know.
Well, you are a kind soul for trusting them. I don't trust them at all. 15 of the NFL's 32 teams have ruled out spectators for the start of the seasons. The Dolphins are one of 8 so far as of today, August 25, exploring a limited number of spectators. The rest have not announced plans yet. And to me, again, it just goes back to an absence of leadership coming from the top in terms of consistency, in terms of exploring the best approach to doing this. I don't think any one of those teams is thinking, this is the best thing for our fans, this is the best thing for our players. They're thinking, let's see how much money we can make, and 20% is better than 0%, so fuck it. We're willing to risk those 13,000 people's lives. And if you don't believe me, listen to the shit Roger Goodell has been saying lately, not about what's happening in terms of spectators, but recently in a commercial, the commissioner of a league in which more than 2/3 of the players are black says the reason he had a problem with the kneeling protests in 2018 was because he was unaware of the extent of social injustice in the United States. He just didn't know. So when players began protesting police brutality and racism, he just assumed they just didn't know. They didn't have the facts. They were being selfish. They were the ones who didn't get it. But no, you dumb fuck. It's you, Goodell. Just like you, dear leader, who don't know what the fuck is going on and are intent on doing shit exactly backwards. And to anyone who still questions, beyond a shadow of a doubt, if COVID-19 is something that you can run away from, Usain Bolt tested positive. What about that, Kyle?
That I did not know. That's news to me. I've kind of been disconnected a little bit from kind of social media and that, but wow. He's faster than lightning, but it couldn't be faster than a corona. Damn.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I leave the music news for last because, frankly, per usual, there isn't a whole lot of it to report. Certainly not when it comes to what's happening in the concert industry. I opened up Polestar, leading trade publication, focused on the concert industry this morning, just as I do every day. There were literally 0 articles about live performances today. 0. Not even a drive-in concert. Not even a virtual concert. Although there was one reference to a company called Melody VR. Now, Melody VR has actually been on the cutting edge of VR for a while now. They were doing shows going back the last couple of years. I'm trying to remember if they're the company that's partnered with Live Nation. I know they've done some very big concerts where there were live audiences and they added an additional VR platform. But this announcement today came out that they have decided to acquire Napster. Is anybody using fucking Napster anymore? Dallas, did you know Napster is still a thing?
No, I did not.
I mean, what? Next they're going to decide to go into gaming and maybe they'll buy Commodore and bring back the Commodore 64?
128, that was a better one.
Seriously? That's the Commodore 128? That's what you want to talk about?
Oh, that was an amazing computer.
Got it. Well, as I said before, the silver lining, the bright light, the one thing that is happening in the concert industry is the growing number of people who are working to create awareness. We talked about today, September 1st, date of airing, being the date of the Red Alert Restart Act. We've talked about the Save Our Stages Act, which House Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is a part of. There's also NITO. I hate the name NITO. I understand it's an acronym, but the term NITO is just ridiculous to me. But the National Independent Talent Organization, one of the founders, Tom Chauncey, great agent, owner of Partisan Arts. Kudos to Tom. They are doing their thing, and they are not only trying to attract the attention and help the talent alone, they're also working to find assistance for crew, for other live touring entities. On our websites, we will be adding links to all of the following. So anyone that wishes to be a part of NITO, you can join. It's free. And you'll find the link at hustlelikeyouBroke.com. There you have a take action tool available where you can get direct communication and can directly communicate with our representatives on Capitol Hill. There's also the NIVA organization, National Independent Venue Association. There is NAM, the National Association of Music Merchants. And I think everybody needs to be looking in on all of these resources, seeing what you can do to help. We've talked about emboldening our community, coming together, doing what we can, not just for ourselves, for our future. We've talked about coming together in advance of this election and looking ahead to what all we can do to mobilize. So please check out NITO, check out NIVA, check out NAM. Go to our website for more information if you don't otherwise know where to find them. We also did talk on the last episode. Anybody that wants to have a personal conversation about these things, we will happily give you Kyle's phone number. You can call him directly. Right, Kyle? You did say that, right?
We already talked about that. Don't call me.
Come on. You were just kidding about that. You definitely want people calling you, right?
Negative.
I'm confused. Well, on that note, it's time to bring out today's guest. We are very, very fortunate to have him. He is an Emmy Award-winning musical director. He was born in Monroe, Louisiana, home of ULM, where, strangely enough, I have actually done 2 shows in my day. But he spent most of his life in sunny Los Angeles, California. He is primarily self-taught, as I understand it, studied computer science at UCLA, so obviously much smarter than me, but perhaps left when offered the opportunity to tour with Gladys Knight and the Pips. He's also toured with everyone from Beyonce to Stevie Wonder, Adele, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Rihanna, Gwen Stefani, Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin. This list is crazy long and varied. Keith Urban, Carrie Underwood, all over the map. Faith Hill, Jennifer Hudson, Ray Charles, people. Ray Charles, Elton John. This is crazy. Very fortunate to have him on the program. He was also the music director for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. He has been on American Idol, Kennedy Center Honors. Again, I could go on for hours. Welcome to the program, Rickey Minor.
Come on, man. It's about time. You better get it on. Let's go.
Sorry to keep you waiting. We had a lot to say today. I never know how long it's going to go, how much I'm going to say, and I guess today I had a lot.
Oh, no. Say what you need to say. That's what I'm talking. I'm saying about time that I got the call to be on the show.
Oh, really?
That's
Oh,
what I'm
well, we
talking
didn't know
about.
you've been listening, Rickey. Thank you.
Come
That
on,
is
man. Let's
great
get
news.
to it. Let's get to it. Well, hey,
Beautiful.
on a couple of things. I mean, I am probably senior to the group, but I didn't tour with all of those folks. I worked with them all, but I've done some extensive touring for about a little over 20 years of touring. So was definitely in there, hitting the road and really enjoying the traveling and meeting people and it's just a different world, and you get to really see the world. And I'm really like, I just think fondly about that experience during those years where and actually, I mean, the fans and the concerts, that was the only way to get to see them. I mean, you just didn't see them walking through your neighborhood or anything, and they weren't on social media. That you had to go out and see them if you wanted to see them live. And that's the only way to get to see them. And every now and then on television, but live was the thing.
Well, apologies for not getting your bio 100%, but I agree with everything you just said. If we could then, perhaps you could take us back and you could give us a little more of your come up story, of your bio, and I will say, actually, we have only just recently, and this is perhaps to our own detriment, but we have really only just recently started announcing who our guests were going to be well in advance. And this is the first time, actually, per Sam, our tech support, he actually gathered fan questions in advance, unsolicited. Not that he went out and asked people, did you have anything to say? We had a couple people reach out and say, oh, you got Rickey coming on? I got questions for him. And one of them really dovetails nicely into the question about your background and your bio, because Josh from Boston was curious if there was a particular moment where you had a big break and things really took off, or if it was more just a continuous slow growth. So if you could tell us a little bit about that story, that would be great.
Yeah, I think, I've thought about this a lot, and I do a lot of speaking, especially to underserved communities and schools, and kind of just giving them opportunity to ask these kind of questions. I think that for me, this whole math thing, I was into it, and I started with I just love music, and I don't remember not ever responding to the vibrations of music, how it makes you feel. It could be one note, it could be a drum beat, it could be anything from the music, or just a voice alone, or a solo horn, or big band, whatever it is that really resonates for you. And for me, I just thought I really love this, but I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that there was actually a career. Like you mean you could make money doing this? Because I just love this. So, I mean, I'm sure you can't make money for something you love this much. You got to, like, that's not work. I remember my son used to say, "Well, Dad, why do you always say you're going, that you're going to work, but then you're going to play, so you don't work, so you don't really work, right?" And I had to answer that. Think about it. I mean, it's not really work. If you do something you love and you're able to make a living, then there's no work really there in terms of the hardship as you think of work. I got to get up. I got to go to this job. Oh man, I can't wait till it's over. I can't wait till it starts. So I ended up going to UCLA for math, and then it kind of one day it hit me, like I came to that fork in the road where I had to figure out how to make a living, and it was either go the corporate route and stay on that and kind of put this music thing in the back, or just go for it everything. So I left school determined to play, and I got a little small little back house in Watts, and stayed there for 5 years and hustled and worked hard. But within the first year, I got my first touring gig. My first gig was Gladys Knight and the Pips, and I was probably about 19 then, and but I had never been on a plane before. I'd never been anywhere. I mean, I just lived in Watts. We moved there when I was 9 from Louisiana, and I never even went on the west side of town. It was just on the east side, and so that was a big opening for me. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, and a lot of funny stories from that. Of unpacking my clothes and then forgetting to pack them back up in my little suitcase that I bought at the thrift store, and then trying to get a taxi to go back and get my clothes. So you make a lot of those green mistakes. But there's no shame in being green. I mean, everyone did everything for the first time. And then that just led on to other opportunities. And after Gladys Knight, I ended up leaving Gladys because I got the gig during Dreamgirls. The Broadway play had just come to LA. And by now I'm like 22, 23 and auditioned for the gig and got it. So after a year of doing that, it closed. Got a call the very next day to go out with Lou Rawls. And that lasted for a couple of years. But while I was with Gladys, the very beginning, I met this girl trying to get a record deal. I was introduced to her and asked, could I put a band together for her? And that was Whitney Houston in 1982. So time keeps moving and I do other things. And then I get a call back to work with Whitney while I was working with Lou Rawls. And, hard decision, not really. It was like, I was like, but I do have to honestly say, during that time, the business part is what a lot of times we miss. Like I learned from the Lou Rawls thing, I had a retainer and I had health benefits. So when it came to negotiate with Whitney, that was some of the things that I asked for. And again, if you don't know to ask for it, then they're not going to just offer it a lot of times. So I was, one of the only ones on retainer and one of the only ones with health benefits on that gig. And then John Simmons, the music director who called me, died after that first tour, and I became music director for her. And then that was 10 years as music director for her on the road. And then we continued to work together once I left the road. But that was when I left the road. I did a couple of other short runs with Queen Latifah and other people. But pretty much that was 20 years of being on the road.
Well, I have so many more questions, and this might derail the conversation a little bit, but I have to ask, you're literally the first person that I've ever heard say that they straight up just said, hey, if I'm going to do this, I want health benefits, and they got it.
You forgot about the retainer too. That's a very important piece.
But retainers, I mean, they're not common, unfortunately, or as common as we wish, but they're a thing. Like I've literally never heard an artist or a music director or anybody say that they wanted health benefits and they got them. I mean, frankly, I know a lot of organizations where nobody in the management structure, no matter how many tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that they're making, that they don't even offer health benefits. It's just, it's always wild to me in this industry how many people don't, or if they do, they have it on their own rather than through their employer when they're not otherwise working at Live Nation or a record label or one of the major corporations. So, I mean, Rickey, can you speak to that at all? Were there other people in Whitney's camp that had this? What did they say to that? Did they just say yes?
Well, when I got the call, and remember, I knew her when she was 18. So now, by the time I come back to her, this is 1982. It was 1986 is when I got the call to come back. So by then, I think that she knew she was 18 years old, and the first thing that happened is that no one showed up to the showcase. I mean, she didn't get signed that first time. But I was older, 22, and she was really. Uh, thinking, I mean, she really was impressed with me working with Gladys. Like she wanted to know all about it. Like how was she? How was the road? All of the things, and we became friends first. And I think that there's a trust there, that the relationship is really what it's about. My relationship with her, but then that took to my relationship with her father, who was managing at the time. He's a Virgo, so I know his game. I'm a Virgo as well, so I know exactly what he will understand. And I think that it's not the information, it's the presentation. So I didn't threaten to not come, but I said, what I would need to leave the gig that I'm on, because it was a full retainer plus we got more when we were on the road. So it was one of those things where and I didn't want to stay on Lou Rawls, and I wasn't going to stay. But I think if you express like this is what I need to leave, and you can understand that I have a family, I need health benefits, and this job gives me a retainer and health benefits, and I think they valued me coming back on the gig and leaving the other gigs that I was doing, and thought that I would add value to the organization. And then that went on for about 18 months or so well, the touring. Once I got on the gig, we did a couple of tours. We did a stateside. And then by the time she took time off and blah, blah, blah. So by the time I came back as music director, all of that was in place. And then the things that you ask for the other players as you look at overall budgets. I mean, remember, I was a math major, so numbers is my thing. Like I can get down with numbers, so I can really lay out a budget and really take a look and make sure that my team is being taken care of. So the band and the singers, first class travel or business, and so we travel with the artists, and we became part of the A team, the a group, because you have all the groups of travel, of techs, of wardrobe, and everyone has their different hotels that they stay in. Some need to be close to the venue. I just thought they'd be better for us and for her if we were always close to her, and they bought it. So it's not that they had to do that, but I think that again, it's not the information, it's the presentation. And you can come in and they're hard, guns blazing, and if I don't get this, I'm out of here, and you probably will be out of here, because it's a way the power of connecting and making sure. I mean, sometimes it's just making them feel like it's their idea. Like, hey, look what I did. I put them all first class, and I put them on retainers, and I gave them health benefits, and you know and so for them it was they knew that having the camp happy. Now, of course, that doesn't go on anymore, and a lot of that, even the salaries were enormous, and we were talking about in the days with Michael Jackson and Sting. I mean, where the musicians in some cases were getting a daily rate of being on the road, anywhere from two to three, sometimes $4,000 a day. And so the money was flowing freely, and everyone was making a lot of money. The labels were making money, and the concerts were selling out. And you had 10 nights at Radio City Music Hall, or 4 nights at Wembley Arena, or doing a concert at Wembley Stadium. I mean, I remember going to see Michael Jackson. Same thing, 3 days, stadiums, all stadiums, and so the money was flowing. So I think at that time, the trickle down was actually working.
Well, kudos to you for having the acumen and the wherewithal to ask for all those things. And I mean, what you just said is gold in terms of being able to sit at that negotiating table and make them think it's their idea. Kyle, you picking up on this? You like to bust my balls about negotiation and talk about your money. You learning anything here? You writing this down?
I've learned a lot from Ricky over the years, and I know that's why I fight for what I fight for. I got to keep my pockets retained if possible, so
Right.
the money stays right. I got to fly a certain way. And my salary needs to make sense for me and my family.
Right.
If I'm gonna be
Yeah.
I'm gonna be gone for a year, not say a year straight, but 12 months or 10 months out of the year, it has to make sense for my family and for me. So that's why I am the way that I am, and it comes from listening from afar and being in the presence of Rickey that gave me that wherewithal to do what I do and to maneuver the way that I do. And also, I'm a Virgo as well. August 31st,
September 6th, watch out.
there it is.
But to his note, to what Kyle was saying, I mean, there's a way, like, in the beginning I made this big deal when I got the gig with Whitney, and I negotiated all those things. But what I didn't understand was the big business part of it. So what I negotiated for the band was, big numbers, and for myself, I thought it was big because I'd never been a music director. So I figured, like, okay, well, I'm the leader. I should get, maybe double what everybody else is getting. That sounds good to me. And only to find out when I had an attorney look over the deal that, he said, the first thing he said is, here's this is a good number. This is a good number that you have. But he also had negotiated the Michael Jackson deals and a lot of other big entertainment deals. So I wasn't privy to that, and that's not really what I do. Like, I
Hmm.
can do numbers, but I don't know what's going on in the industry in terms of at that level. And he said, but here's the problem. You are saying that this is what how much you need to do it, and you're looking at yourself as a work for hire, but you need to look at yourself like Coca-Cola. You're a big business with all levels of employment, so that if they need more, then they pay for more.
Hmm.
So you're not factoring in the fact that when the gig is over, everyone else goes out to dinner, to the club, whatever, and on days off, they're off. You're never off. If the artist calls and wants to make a change in the show, want to add something, they had other gigs coming up that you've got to advance, you're always going to be working. So you never accounted for that.
Hmm.
Words of
You looked at as you're doing a recording session, you get double scale because you're the leader. So you had no concept of it, of what it's going to take for you and what you need as a retainer, the amount. I mean, we were able to negotiate after that first run, but again, I think that it's important to seek out help when it comes to, because all of us, you don't know what you don't know.
it is. I like that. So, uh, Sam, our tech support, pulled a great quote actually about you that I'd like to ask you about, and I actually did reference it in the opening. The quote reads, "I think that success is readily available for all of us. The biggest thing is to learn quickly how to get out of our own way." And that's something that I'm thankful for, that I recognize that the only thing stopping me is me.
Mhm.
Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, a lot of people go, well, I want, I want, but I think that everyone is worth your time, but not everybody's ready for it. So in that same way, someone who you're interested in hiring may not be ready at that time. That doesn't mean that they're never going to be ready, but you have to make, and you guys are in a leadership position when you can hire. It's a lot of factors. It's not just the skill. Are you qualified? Are you able to get along with other people? What's your disposition? I mean, are you really like that angry every day, all day? And does that come with it? Because we're going to be living together on the road, so you need to be able to get along with everyone. And if you need some quote unquote time off, then hang in your room and work it out. Work out whatever's going on. We're all going through something. No one's without the stress of life and family and health and all those things. So I think that the thing I think when I think about success, happiness is not having what you want. but wanting what you have. So if you can uh, change your disposition to where your gratitude is first, then you're good because you're happy to be there. You're not complaining about being there. Because my thing is, if I'm not having a good time, I could leave. I mean, I really could. I could just really resign and just say, hey, I'm going to move on. Thank you for the time and keep moving on. I don't have any jobs that I've done, at least that I know of, that I can't go back to. I mean, a lot of my clients, they call back and they call back again. And it's not just the music. The music is one part of it. I mean, if the music sounds good, great. But it's the relationship that and the trust. You don't get someone's trust and then abuse it. I mean, they're trusting us to make them look good, sound good, all of that every time. And they pay a lot of people to tell them how great they are. They don't need me to do that. I mean, I'm just saying a lot of people, hairstylists or whatever, I mean, they're friends. I don't need friends. I'm here to work. We're friendly, but none of these people I consider, very few actually, I consider are friends because I don't talk to them unless we're working. So we're not hanging out. And I don't need that. I don't need to be best friends with an artist and we can just hang out. I don't need that. And they don't need it either.
So tell us about the transition from being a bass player to becoming a music director. And along those lines, another fan question we got from Jacob in Germany is, what are the practical skills and talents that someone should develop to pursue a career as a music director?
Um, well, I can answer both those at the same time. So, for me, I think that that we all have a calling, and so your personality and your ability to lead has to be innate. You can learn to do a job, but to do a job really well, I mean, I know we were talking about LeBron earlier. I mean, that's his calling. You know what I mean? He's going to be. I mean, Michael Jordan, all these people who are find success in it, that's their calling. And so they answered it and they were able to excel in it. So I say, look at what you want to do and see if that's something that resonates with. Would you be at the level you needed to be in order to work professionally? You can still be a leader, but leading, like, it's a difference between leading your band and then leading some 300 people, not only on tour but on stage and on these big ticket award shows and things where or Super Bowl when there's like tons. I think the Grammys and those shows anywhere between 300-400 people, but something like the Super Bowl is massive. I mean, it's closer to 2,000, and it's a lot of people working. So you kind of have to work your way and figure out what that is. The skills you would have to be is leadership, organization, be able to deal with budgets, and then you have to be able to respond and encourage, motivate, and let them, let the people who work with you have them contribute at the highest level. You're going to need everyone. When they say when you're on the ship, you're out to sea, all hands on deck. Everyone needs to be carrying their weight and then some, and covering the gap, because otherwise something will slip through. You're only one person, so make sure you just surround yourself with the best people you can find and create an environment that's inclusive and that everyone understands what the goal is. And our commitment is only one thing: commitment to excellence. We're going to all do our best in that moment, and then let it be, and then wait for the next moment to another opportunity to do a better job than that. You know, and that's what you need, and that's kind of what I think.
So tell us a little more about that, though. I mean, talk to us about the process of putting together a team.
Well, it's not something that I'm proud of, but I've probably fired more people than I've hired, and that's not something of pride. It's just that again, like I said before, everyone is worth your time, but everyone's not ready. So everyone's not ready for a big gig like that. So either they're It may be musical. It may be their disposition. Um, one of the big things for me, and anyone that knows me understands, I don't do late. Like, I just don't do it. And so if you're late, you might as well just stay home, because there's no excuse for being late. There's millions of dollars being spent, and you say, oh, I overslept, or my car broke down, or all of these excuses, but it's poor planning. I mean, if I'm an hour early to anything that I'm going to, I'm late. In my mind, I'm late. So I prepare for that. So I'm up early if I have somewhere to go. And it kind of started with my upbringing. My grandmother never, like, I don't use alarm clock. My grandmother never used alarm clock. She never woke me up, and that's who I lived with when I was a young kid. And she said, like, I'm not going to wake you up. You know, you have somewhere to go. So if you're late, that's your problem. And so I'm a early riser. Even if I go to bed late, I'm up early, because that's the worst thing to me. That's like the end of the world if I'm late. I mean, it's that serious to me. Like, I'm like, I can't be late. And then as a leader, what are you showing? So that's when you talk about being a leader. You can't be a leader and you're the one that's late and unprepared, no plan. So I stay up, I lay out the plan of rehearsal, what we're covering today, the order of what we're doing. I mean, you have to be meticulous in planning. I don't know that that the putting a band together, and so it's the personalities as you audition people. It's them being on time. It's how singers, how they blend together. Drums and bass, that's the pocket. So if that groove is not, and I've played with some amazing, like, world famous drummers. We just didn't connect. Some drummers may feel play on top, some play behind, and a lot of it is, I think, some in the past, at least, it was East Coast, West Coast. Where the West Coast players were more laid back, but the East Coast player had some fire and urgency. So it's just finding that balance of where the pocket is, and make sure the rhythm section is good, and then just make sure everyone can handle their job and get along. And you find, there's a lot of great players, and the great players, and musicians and singers and artists, and sound people. I mean, everyone working, you have to have an ego to believe in it, but you can't have such a big ego that you're right all the time and no one else is. So it's personalities. I had one guy on a gig, and it was a TV show, and we'd tape at 5 a.m. I wasn't on it, but I had put it together, and I get a call saying, "Hey, we had a 5 o'clock call, and one of the crew guys saw the guy coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning, had been out all, was in New York, and he's from New York, and had been out all night with his friends and hanging out. Totally missed the lobby call, had to get security to open the door, and of course, as soon as that gig was over, it wasn't even go back to the hotel. Bring your stuff with you, because after this taping, we're sending you home.
There it is.
Yeah, you can't do that. Respect the gig.
I have to say, when I first worked with
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I don't know if
no,
I'm
no,
ready. Go ahead.
no, this is good stuff, because I remember we had worked together on quite a few things, but I was never part of your camp per se. So I didn't know, how you maneuver and how you roll. I just knew, you had to be on time at XYZ. And I remember we were doing some stuff for Stevie, and you said hit it. But luckily for me, my workflow, I'm always in record. I'm always just ready to go. I stay ready so I have to get ready. And you said hit it, and then everybody played. Then you said moving on. I'm like, moving on, because most gigs, they may work on a record or song part portion for a few hours. Not in Ricky's camp. You rock it. You learn. You already come to rehearsal already rehearsed. You guys are just playing it as a unit one time, and then you're off to the next record. I was like, yo, you said you got that right. And I remember I said, yeah, but I had some nervousness in my voice, because I was like, yo, did I really get that? Luckily I did, because you kept going. There was no take 2, take 3, take 4. It's once and done. And when Ricky says downbeat at noon and we're done at 8, you're downbeat at noon and you're done at 7:59. And we out. You don't waste time. And it's unfortunate because a lot of her rehearsals have a lot of burnt energy. You're supposed to be there at noon. You're supposed to finish at 8 or whatever. The band doesn't start till 3, and then you finish at midnight. And there's so much idle time wasted in rehearsals, but nah, not in a Ricky rehearsal. You in and out is like a job, but it's fun. It's a fun job, but it's time. Time isn't free. Time is money, and he definitely is a stickler for being on time and knocking it out and being done with it, because it shouldn't take. It's not rocket science, as he says. So I agree with that. Punctuality is is not a game.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the thing about, and I think people don't really realize it, but being on time is not about you. It's about respecting everyone else's time.
Correct.
And so that level of respect shows, you can't get there after the artist gets there. How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell me how that's going to work out if you continue doing that. So, and we know the answer to that. But also, I don't believe in rehearsing or practicing. I believe in playing. So we come to play. So we're going
Mm-hmm.
to play it. And if there's a couple of things that need to be fixed or whatever, we talk about it. We may play it again. But I need it to be authentic, and I don't need it to be super overly rehearsed to where you're not even digging in and you're not being creative and you're not letting the moments happen. The guitar player plays this. Oh, then I play that. I mean, and so there's a conversation going on. How many times can you rehearse a conversation and let it and it's real? I mean, the actors on the read through, they can't do 20 takes of one scene. It has to be real and authentic, and that's how I feel about us playing. Now, I have some artists. I mean, Stevie, one in particular, who doesn't have a real time thing. Just he comes when he comes, and you know that. But then it's his music, so he knows it.
Right.
So we're the ones that have to be tighter. And on that particular gig, there were two bands. So Kyle had,
Right.
we had two and sometimes three or four of like the guitar players. I had two. He has two. I have three horns. He's got three horns. So the thing is that we were going through playing different albums. So we decided, okay, well, my guys will play these songs from this album, and his band will play this from this album, and there's songs that we all play together. So it's always a pretty exciting thing working with someone like Stevie, who is everything. So yeah.
It was a massive band. I mean, it was a lot of inputs, but again, I had to be on point because the pressure was so heavy that I forgot what was going on. But I was just like, "Yo, this is intense." But I guess that's why, well, that's one of the things that I said when I was rocking with Prince. I took away, nothing can stress you out. You just have to adapt to every situation. And I think that may at the time have been the biggest live inputs list that I've ever had to deal with, because it was literally two bands of everything, duplicate or even triple of everything. So it was quite a bit, and it could be overwhelming, but again, it's not for everybody. But I came in there, I was focused, I was ready, and did again with all of the situations prior leading up to that, to getting that phone call to do this show. That's why I say, our salaries are we're paid for peace of mind. Ricky knew that I was gonna come in there and rock out. He didn't have to think about, am I going to be ready? He knew I was going to be ready. And so that's why I come back to you, Matt, and saying these numbers that you be giving us, you got to step it up, baby. Don't get quiet now.
Always negotiating.
Hey,
You're paying for peace of mind. You're paying for comfort.
listen, if you don't ask, chances are no one's going to think about that. Not to say that they won't do it, but if you don't ask, I mean, squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if you don't make any noise, then it's like, you all right, Will? Go on down the road. You fine.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, you'll be all right. But I think that there's a reasonable thing. I mean, now as we face COVID and is live music and televised and the world over, every business is highly affected. So I think it's just a time to me for reset and reevaluating. I mean, I was already kind of on to uh, more more writing and more creating, and not only on the music side but on the television side, on the film side of writing, animated short and then animated features. So I mean, you've got to use your creativity and expand your brain and try some new things. I'm not saying that they're for everyone, but if you find yourself where it's hard to get motivated, look at other things you're interested in and do those things so that they will inspire you. Because there's a lot out in the world to inspire. But if we sit inside our room and I heard earlier about the uh, social media, or hadn't really been on, but I'm like more so on a news and social media diet. So I don't feel the need to know every detail about every single thing that happens, and then all of the pundits and their interpretation of it. So I know the big news. I know the things I need to know, and I keep up on that. Basically once a week, where I spend a moment and really calibrate and see. But it's for me personally, it's too much for my nervous system. Like I can't take reading about every detail of someone being shot, or every detail of something being taken away, or abuse in any form. And so I know what I need to know, and I'm doing what I can do from where I sit, and that's being active behind the scenes and making things happen, and working with the administration, with the DNC, and doing all those things where I've done before, and just stay engaged in that way, with the people who are actually making things happen and making the decisions.
I think that's smart. And I want to get back to actually, you were alluding to where things are going and, what people can be doing. I want to get back to that actually, because first, before we get away from the conversation about, musicians and assembling that band and assembling that team, and, Kyle was making his pitch that he be hired for the next gig and what have you. Aside from all of that,
Wow.
blah, 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 um, I, I'm very curious, Ricky, if you could talk to us about, what you see in the new musicians, the next generation of musicians coming up, and any differences that you perceive in comparison to, some of the older generation, the OG musicians that have been with us for a long time. Are there, you know, distinctions, or are there differences you can point to? Are there caveats that young people should avoid? Any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, well, I think that now it's wide open. I mean, before you had to pick a genre that you wanted to play. I want to play jazz. I'm a jazz player. I'm a pop guy. I'm an R&B. I like to just play covers. I'm a cover band guy. I love that. I want to play with a symphony, with an orchestra, and so I'm going to get that type of education, that kind of experience. But now, because of technology, we're global. Like, it's not just the guys in your block or the guys in your town or the guys in your country. Like, you can literally make music all by yourself or with people all over the world in an instant. So I think that the opportunities are more now, and I think that basically anyone can. The good thing is anyone can write a song and put it up, and post it and release it. The bad news is that anyone can write a song and put it up and post it. So it makes it hard to find great material, because now you have to basically wade through everything to find the great material, because there's so much content now. But for the musicians, I think that find what resonates for you, what you love. If it's film scoring, if it's playing, and if it's a lot of those things, then find you have to find your community, find your people. They're out there. People who are like minded with you, who want to make music, who believe in and no boundaries, no, and the lines are now all blurred, and we've got country and hip hop and classical and jazz and merengue. I mean, you have all these like different cultural musics that are all melding. Uh, so if you have the Latin pop or Latin hip hop, so it's anyone's game. It's art. So there are no rules. Make your rules as you go, and you go. I like this. I'm going to work hard and try to create this because the creativity is boundless.
Well, speaking of making rules as you go, then, I mean, coming out of this coronation, I mean, what's next for live touring in your opinion? What is going to be? What's it going to be? When we get back, what do you see? What do you think? What do you suggest?
Yeah, I think that when we get the live part of it, people look. Human beings need music. It's not just what they crave; they need it. I mean, no matter what mood you're in, you put on a certain type of record, and it helps to alter your moods, and it's healing. So we all need it, and we need people. So I know that initially I know like Austin City Limits is starting to film now, and they're doing with no audience, and but it's I think it's going to be small, little by little. Different TV shows are starting, doing virtual, but the energy is the people in the room. That's where all the performers and the artists, I mean, and the audience, they vibe off each other. That's the magic of live music. And so I believe it's going to come back, but I think it's going to be pretty slow. It's going to be, and it needs to be slow so that we're being responsible and not just, hey, let's go do a concert and put all these lives in danger just because we can, and we know that people will come because we're a big ticket artist. They're not going to put themselves or their fans at risk. So I think we're gonna need some time. It's I'm hoping midsummer next year.
Midsummer next year sounds it
I,
sounds
I
a
mean,
ways away, but it also,
it,
I mean, in some respects it sounds ambitious. In some respects it sounds great to me. That means we're hopefully working by early Q2 in preparation, and
yeah, yeah,
frankly,
exactly.
look,
That's what I'm hoping. And here's the thing: is that the problem is that we don't have a regulation in the plan to so we can't trace it because we're releasing people out, and then we don't know all the people that they've been in contact with. So we're losing the battle because the school's open, and you said how many people? From you mentioned one college earlier. It was a big number, 150 or something like that.
oh
But
no, that was the school with the small number. The one that I didn't talk about today, but we've talked about before, was the school in North Georgia that had 560 cases in the first few days. North Carolina, Chapel Hill had 120 coming out of one party, which is what I mentioned a little
right.
while ago.
But how many people did that 120 infect? You know what I'm saying? So we're not tracing it because people are asymptomatic, so you don't know and say, well, I got tested yesterday, so I'm good. But that doesn't mean you're good. Period. If you're not quarantining and staying or spending more time, in quarantine, if you say I'm good, so I'm going to the beach, I'm going to the restaurants, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm going to see my elderly grandmother and all the people in the old folks home who get it, and their children came to see them. I mean, it's just like it's until we get it under control, it's going to be a while, and I think it's going to be a while even once we have it under control, where we feel safe enough to go out and sit in a theater next to someone else that we've never met, or stand shoulder to shoulder, on the floor partying away to Coldplay. you know.
Well, I can only hope people proceed with caution because we could talk all day long about how right you are that in the absence of a plan, there is a lot we don't know. In the effort to suppress data and information, we're doing the opposite
Yeah,
of contact tracing, and
yeah.
it's just fucking terrible. But again, we seem to agree, so no need preaching to the choir. We could have that conversation for hours. Let me ask you one more question, actually. I got one more thing, and then we'll go into our quick hits. You've been an amazing guest. You've been with us for well over an hour already. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to ask, you wrote a book about 10 years ago now. There's no traffic on the extra mile. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, that's something my grandmother used to say to me. And I was doing American Idol at the time, and they did chicken soup for the American Idol. So after that book came out, that was my page, was no traffic on the extra mile. And it's something my grandmother used to always tell me, is that, if you do more than what's expected of you, then there are plenty of people who just want to show up and punch in and punch out and leave. But give them more than what they're expecting, and you won't really have any competition. I mean, the only competition you really have is you. It's about a personal best each time. So don't worry about what they're doing over or on, behind you or on the side. Just look forward and work hard. Keep your head down and work hard.
Wise words. I like it.
Yeah.
So, moving into our quick hits, I believe you already answered this first one, but your first tour, was that Gladys or otherwise?
Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Copy that. And if you could tell us about either a favorite tour or a favorite moment or experience, what would that be?
There are a lot of moments. I mean, the Whitney, the Whitney stuff was one huge ride, and it basically changed my life forever, and set me on a course of having a career. Because until then you're on the road, and you never know, the artist may want to change the whole band and get a younger band or just a different band, they want a different flavor, and that's their prerogative. So you're at the mercy of being on the road, and then you come off the road, and you're trying to find your way at home. So I think my favorite tour was probably after I had been music director for Whitney. I went on tour with Al Jarreau, and it was my favorite tour because that's really I was I played all the different types of music, but I really loved jazz, and when I started playing bass, I started like really listening to a lot of jazz music, whatever. But not only was I playing jazz with a killing band, and Al Jarreau singing, but I wasn't the leader. I didn't have to do anything but play and just enjoy playing. So that's a thing, to be able to split to two. Because when it comes to the music, when I'm working on shows or things, I'm the last one to learn my parts, because I'm getting all the arrangements together and working with the artists and working with the sound and the lighting, and shows like live TV stuff like the Oscars and Grammys and those type of live event specials. It's live. So there's no fix it. So when I'm on tour, it's great to not have to think about anything else but just playing bass. So I really enjoyed that, and we toured all of Europe and was there for like 3 months, and I didn't have to answer any calls or talk to anybody about anything, just play.
Copy that. So, my favorite question is this: if there's any one thing about the industry you'd like us to do better, what is it?
I think healthcare, and mental health as well. And when I say healthcare, I mean all of it: physical, mental. It's grueling being on the road, and it's grueling being away from your family. And psychologically, how do you deal with that? I had people on the road and where their family members got sick, and and they weren't able to go home because they were out on tour, and or by the time they got home, it was too late. By the time they worked out all the details, but I think that we just need to do a better job of taking care of each other and checking in. Because sometimes you get into your own world because you're dealing with what you're dealing with. But I think it would help to have some group sessions, and I don't mean venting sessions, just kind of how you're doing and really honest without judgment. Honest talks. If you can, if you can't, get um, someone that can make sure that you're healthy in all ways and physically as well. Because I mean, you can get lured into gig, eat, drink, pass out. Gig, eat, drink, pass out. And so I think that both things really, I wish that we took better care of each other and ourselves.
Well, if I'm being honest, that is my favorite answer. And if this was the Family Feud, I would be telling you that is the number one answer on the board of all of our guests so far. So take solace in that. I hope it comes true. Um, I usually don't ask this one because you've imparted so much wisdom already. I'm going to anyway. Do you have any additional wisdom to impart on our listeners today?
Well, I would just add to the happiness that each of us have inside of it. It's there. You were born with it, and I think that we have to find a way to get back, each of us individually now, to get back to that wonderment and that excitement of life. I mean, uh, I may not have um, a a nice car, but it's my car, and I worked hard for it, and I appreciate it. So if we practice the only attitude is gratitude and stay grateful for each moment, then you just end up having a better life, and which is a better time with yourself, because that's where the fight is, not the outside world. Take care of the inside of you. It's inside out, never outside in. So all the noise from the world, if you take all that inside, then that's who you are. But if you live from the inside out, then you put out that joy. I mean, we're doing what we love to do. I mean, who gets to do that? We do. So there has to be some gratitude. And so if you put that first, then the problems really aren't in any problems. They're just a situation that needs to be handled and move on. Don't hold on to anything that doesn't serve you or make you better.
I love it. Wise words. Rickey Minor, you've been amazing. We'll get you out of here on this. Any shout outs or parting shots?
Hey, this is for the lovers, player. No, man, it's for everybody, man. This is love, and I appreciate being on this with you guys, man. I mean, it's important that we share these thoughts and these moments because it's hard to know these things, especially if you're starting out, or even if you've been on it for a while. Sometimes we get jaded. It's like another gig. Here we go, same show, same thing, and you don't have to be there. Like, if you really are not having a good time, leave. Go do something else. It's your life.
I love that. I do. Kyle, you got anything you want to add here today?
You know what? This has been a balanced conversation. We talked about workflow, keeping your mind right, listening to the wisdom of Rickey Minor today. And at the end of the day, I'm good. I'm balanced out. I can't get no more zen than this today.
There it is. Now, it's funny because when we had Chris Johnson on, you were really bothered by the fact that he was taking that Zen-like approach. Today, Ricky's just kind of lulled you into submission. It's kind of a different response out of you.
Well, as of right now, my Lakers are balanced. The Raiders are going to do what they're going to do. I just saw an email saying that the Rams Stadium, Chargers Stadium, is not going to have anybody in there for this upcoming football season. So I'm kind of hurt that my season tickets won't go anywhere this year. And it's just I just wish everybody would just put on a goddamn mask, and we can at least get back to some sense of normalcy without people talking about you're infringing on their rite of passage to do anything. It's like, okay, you can't walk into a supermarket or a grocery store without a shirt and shoes. You can't do it. You don't have people talking about I don't have to wear a shirt, I don't have to wear shoes. Just wear a damn mask, and we can at least get back to some sense of normalcy. Normal is different now. I'm tired of hearing new normal. I just want to get back to some sense of being able to go get a haircut. Just to be able to live, because right now we can't live, and this is out of control.
I'll agree with you on all of that. What about you, Dallas? Any parting shots from you today?
No, I think Ricky's been very insightful, and it's great to hear a legend, give some insight to what makes it all work. But otherwise, I miss our world. I can't wait to get back to it. Wearing masks, wash your hands, do whatever the hell it takes. Let's get back there. I miss the fact that, I miss hearing the crowds go nuts, looking at our principals do their thing. I miss it all. Don't miss catering necessarily, or showers in certain venues. But
Don't miss catering at all.
and there's those certain showers in those certain venues that definitely don't want to ever see again. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get back out there.
Well, there you have it. Rickey Minor, the man, the myth, the legend. You've been amazing. Dallas, Kyle, appreciate you. Banks, we miss you yet again. Shout out to our brother Banks. Sorry you couldn't be with us. I believe he will be back with us on the very next episode. So to our listeners, he is not far, and he will be back. So fear not. We appreciate our listeners. We appreciate everyone everyone else out there. As Dallas said, as Kyle said, as Rickey said, please wear a mask. We talk about washing your hands like, hello, you're not fucking 6 years old. Just wash your fucking hands. And to everyone, no matter what you believe, and it's easy for me to say that because I doubt there are a whole lot of far-right listening fascists on this program. But even you motherfuckers and everyone else, vote. Please. It is your right. It is your responsibility. It is all of our responsibility to be the change that we want to see in this world. Get out, get active, get off your fucking ass, and do something positive. And on that note, thank you all, and good